All right, now that we've got our geo data or site information into the model and it's clearly 3D, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of customize the site for the sake of the model. And to do that, we need to create contour lines. If you've taken the 124 class or earlier classes, this is basically contour lines are equal lines of elevation. So if I were to, there's a couple things we want to do as we go through this process, and they're kind of important steps. I'm going to click off the perspective. And then in the views, I'm going to look straight down from the top. And you can see how we don't have a lot of three-dimensional perspective stuff going on. I've also got the location snapshot turned off. From here, I'm going to create a rectangle, just enclosing the site. And you can see what happened as that rectangle went in. It's creating a contour line. So where it intersects this morphic sort of map shape that we have in the model, that is a contour line. That is an equal point of elevation above the model. So we need to create more of those. This is a fairly steep site, and we're going to try and simplify it just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the face. I'm going to hold down the move command, and I'm going to move the command, or the rectangle straight up on the blue axis. Notice that on the blue axis is highlighted. I'm going to hold shift key to make sure it doesn't move. And I'm just going to move that up so that it's off of the model. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to move it again, but this time I want to make a copy. So I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to copy it in the blue direction down, and I'm going to type in 20 feet and hit enter. And then I'm going to type in x20. And what that gave me, I know it looks crazy, it looks like a stack of sheet of papers, kind of. But what that did is it buried my site plan into that geometry. Now, to make a contour line, what we want to do is we want to find out where this shape intersects each one of these layers. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our selection tool, and using a window feature, we're going to pick the entire model, basically everything. The drape and the contour we imported, plus all of the faces. We'll right-click, and then we're going to use intersect faces, and in this case, either button works. But we'll go ahead and do intersect faces with the selection. Everything is selected. Now, what happens is if we zoom in a little bit, you can see that there's now a black line where that drape, or that contour line, that sitemap, intersected each of these faces. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and select the faces and delete them away. Because we're not going to use the existing map, and I certainly don't need all those plates in the way. So I'm going to just select the corners and then delete those pieces. Now, you want to make sure that you're drawing in layer 0. I was drawing in layer 0. And now I can turn off my location terrain. And now we have basically just, if we look at it from a top view, we have a series of contours that represent the site plan. Now, the top two are a little steep for what we're doing. We need to flatten those out just a little bit. So with the perspective, again, off, if we go to camera, notice our perspective is not turned off or on. We're in parallel projection. We want to stay there. I'm going to go to a front view, and I'm going to move the contour. So I'm going to select, and I'm going to window pick those top two contours. Now, we've got 20 feet between contours. That's what we copied our plates to. So I'm going to move the top two down, and I'm going to move them down 15 feet. And I'm going to move the last one, the same thing. I'm going to move it down 15 feet. And I just typed those in and hit enter. And now our contours are a little bit flatter. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use the sandbox command to create a drape. So that'll be our next step.